good? I'm live? Excellent. All right, so we're just gonna take a little bit of time just to kind of go over what exactly this mission trip is, what it's gonna entail, and what I think the girls are gonna really get out of it, and what they're going to be able to, how they're gonna be able to utilize their skills, their volleyball talents to reach people in Spain, particularly for Christ. I realize that spring break is a sacrifice. You know, number one, vacation time, just relaxation time. Number two, I realize volleyball is very, very special to I think every single girl in the program. They just love the sport, and they love the possibility of furthering their volleyball career. So I realize that this is a tough week. I realize that this week is asking, you know, I think the Big South tournament is this week for indoor. So I realize that's a big ask to miss something like that. I know, you know, the beach girls also have the potential of having some tournaments that weekend. I just can't reiterate enough what I think this missions trip will do for them on so many more levels than just volleyball. I think it's powerful. I had the opportunity to take my team last year, 2 years ago, and we went on a missions trip over there, and just being able to see the girls interact with the Spanish girls. First, being able to compete against them on the court, and just be competitive and just share that with someone of a completely different culture, language barrier, but still be able to have this common love for a sport and be able to do that was incredible. And then after the game, when we had you know, what, Pika Pika?
Pika Pika.
Yeah. So we would eat with the girls afterwards, and that was really our time just to connect with them, and not even really get on a spiritual level with them, but just to connect with them, just to you know, just culturally be able to talk about different things. My girls, I mean, immediately becoming Instagram friends with all these girls from over there, and just forming these relationships. And that relationship allowed them to invite them to this sports camp. And then, you know, eventually a couple of them came out to volleyball camp and were able to hear the gospel for the first time. So just being able to use something like volleyball as a tool, I think has so much more value than just some of the other stuff that we place importance on. So Dave and Cindy Bintz are here from Narcada in Spain, and they're the sports director over there. So he's going to give us a little presentation of what to expect on the trip, and just kind of field any questions that anyone might have about the trip. So, Dave?
Our camp is called Narcada, and it's basically a summer camp. It's a summer camp where we use a ton of different themes during the summer. We're the sports directors, so right now we have camps in tackle football. Yes, in Spain we have tackle football. And there's 2,000 players in Barcelona. So we have tackle football, we have volleyball, girls and boys basketball, and we also have a flag football camp. And what we're doing is we're trying to get kids to come into this summer camp where we can present the gospel to them. The hard part in Spain is to get them to the camp. And that's where the spring break missions trips come in. And just a little bit of a background of me. I was an athletic director, a high school basketball coach in Christian high schools for 37 years. And we started going over summer basketball camp. I was a guest basketball coach. And it's a beautiful place, but there's just no way to get the gospel to people over there. Less than 1% of the population of Christ as Savior in Spain. It's the least reached Spanish-speaking country in the world, and there's just very little chance to hear the gospel. Almost 90% of cities and towns don't have one church that preaches the gospel. So what we found through coming over in the summertime on these basketball missions trips was that we could use the gospel through sports for those Spanish kids to hear. And I was on a missions trip, and I never thought in a million years God would call us to be full-time missionaries. And we've been over there now 4.5 years, and we love it. And what we do is we come home every year, October, November, December, and we are traveling around with contacts of Christian schools, coaches, players, churches, small groups, people that have shown interest in our camp. And basically what we're asking you guys and through Coach G is if you would come over and help us advertise the summer camps. Now, we've got some, maybe it'll work. No, I didn't think so.
Oh, I hit the wrong one.
Oh, I don't know. This is the hardest part of being a missionary, is the electronics, I'm telling you it's the hardest part. But, you know, teams come over with the okay, here's the Kings Academy from Florida, South Carolina in the red and white.
Those are my boys.
They played a team, I can't remember, and one of the teams up in Northeast Spain. And let's just scroll through them. So it's, we have spring break mission trips for basketball, boys and girls, and we have volleyball. And
That's me.
yeah, there's Coach G right there on the upper right.
That's me.
And let me tell you, Spanish people really respect Americans. They respect America. They respect American players.
They like to speak English.
And they want to speak English. So what we like to do is play these Goodwill games, and we'll kind of go over the schedule real quick. But they like to play these Goodwill games, and boy, they just love to interact with Americans. We brought some of these missions trips. One time we had a boys basketball spring break game, Goodwill game. We went up close to France, in a local club up close to France, and local TV showed up. They televised this on local TV. We went to another one down by the Mediterranean Sea, another club down by the Mediterranean, and they had, I guess, did a little promotion. Americans were going to be here, and when we showed up in this little town, the little kids ran and got high school players signing autographs. You know, it's a cool thing. So it's really cool. It's a cool thing for the American players. But what we do is, you know, take your spring break, and well, there's our we have our summer camps. Those are the dates of our summer camps. And anybody can come to summer camp. We don't need just teams for summer camp. If a coach wanted to come in summer camp, it'd be great.
One of my players came, Margaret.
Yes.
So after our spring break trip, one of my players, Margaret, loved it, and she went back over the summer and stayed for volleyball camp.
About a
For
month.
5 weeks.
Yes.
That's
She was
Margaret.
planning to come for 2 weeks and ended up extending it.
Yeah, she loved it.
She was
Yeah,
having such a
it
blast.
was an
Yeah.
awesome thing. So, well, what's on the next slide? Is there anything? Okay, we need boys and girls basketball and volleyball, basically teams. And what you'll do when you get there is we'll have Goodwill games. There'll be work projects around the camp. There'll be some sightseeing. There'll be devotional times in the mornings with one of the full-time staff at Arcata each morning. And some of the places we go, I think we took you down to the lake. We went to the Banyoles Lake, which is a crystal clear lake that was the rowing venue of the '92 Barcelona Olympics. It was in our town of Banyoles. So we go down there and we have devotions, and it's a crystal clear lake, and in the distance you can see the snow-capped mountain, Pyrenees Mountains, and you know, it's a pretty cool place to be. And there's a lot of things we do. So maybe go next picture. Okay, and that's some of the summer camp, what we're trying to do. And when we go to summer camp, they get to spend a week with Spanish players. No, there's no Spanish players. That's our staff for basketball
It's
camp.
people that came from all over the United States.
Yeah,
to
yes.
Come serve with us.
Yeah, high school players. We have junior high, JV, varsity players, coaches, people that work the kitchen, counselors, activities people, musicians. We have a ton of people that help us in our summer camps. So.
And many college coaches come over and help us too.
Yes. Yeah.
Margaret.
There's Mark.
Yeah, we couldn't get this to work. So this is like Friday night of summer camp. We're just serving, and so we have a great time. But that's summer camp.
She
That's
was
summer
a
camp.
counselor that week, and so the counselors and the coaches all serve the campers.
But I want you to I'm going to tell you what you can expect for the players from Greater Orlando Christian to come over. You'd arrive. You'd leave on a Saturday before your spring break. You'd get there on Sunday. then we would pick you up at the Barcelona airport, and we will take care of you the rest of the week. We will provide a really cool mission trip. And we'll pick you up at the airport, then we'll go to a town called Girona and try to keep you awake from jet lag, and we'll tour around Girona. There's a first century church there, it's beautiful. And then we take you up and we'll stay in the Casal in the local town, and that's where you'll sleep each night that week. So, and we're very rural where we are. And the camp is located in a town called San Miguel de Campmajor, and there are more sheep in that town than there are people. So we're very rural, but the hotel is very nice and where you'll be staying and everything. So Monday starts everything. Monday starts, what we'll do is we'll go into the camp, we'll go up into the team building area, and we'll do all the low ropes and all the different activities to try to come together as a team. And I think that's very important. Then that evening, on Monday evening, we'll go to a club and play a game. After the game, we'll provide food, and we ask the most important part of the mission trip is after the game. We're wanting the players to mix in with the Spanish players and just talk and invite them to the summer camp. Now, Spanish people are very relational. They're kind of standoffish a little bit when you first get to know them. If we had a halftime presentation of the gospel, you would think, okay, Jehovah's Witness, or we're out of here. They would never talk to us again. So what we do, we ask the kids that are coming over on the spring break trip, you are seed planters. You can talk volleyball, you can talk about life in Spain and everything, but just invite them to the camp, because that's where they can have a week with Americans that are there, and they can develop relationships and then go on. But what we need is to advertise to get them there. These guys did when the King's Academy came 2 years ago on spring break it was our first ever volleyball camp, first ever football camp, first basketball camp in a long time. It had really gone downhill. There were 65 basketball campers there, and in our other camp there were 85 football and volleyball players. And it was because these girls came there and just shared a little bit about American volleyball, asked them to come to La Arcada, and because of that, kids got saved that summer because of the work that they did in spring break. It wasn't that they could witness to somebody, but they planted the seed, and they got them to come to camp. So we're just finding that the spring break games, these Goodwill games, are the best way to get Spanish kids to come to the camp. So what we do, starting on Monday morning, we do those team building activities. Then we play a game Monday night. Tuesday is a work project around the camp, and we get the kids working, and as much as high school kids can do, we can have them digging ditches, or we can get something.
Breaking leaves.
Yeah, and Europe, in a lot of ways, is the forgotten mission field. And Spain is almost an unreached people group, because there's less than 1% are born again. The churches are so far spread out, they're so small. It's just hard to get them the gospel. So, in Spain, that's Barcelona, that's La Sagrada Familia Church right through here. It was started in 1883. Not 1983. 1883, projected finish date is 2026, and they don't think they're going to get it finished then. But it's an amazing thing. But it's all about tradition and beautiful churches, and they don't know the gospel. So if we get you guys to come, as seed planters, you'll get them to come to summer camp. So on that Tuesday, have the work project around the camp and helping, and then Tuesday night we will play another game, another club. And then depending on, do you want to play 5 in a row, or do you want to take okay, Wednesday? Then we're going to Barcelona.
I like to go to the Bible.
Yeah, the first in the morning we'll go to the Bible Institute in Barcelona, and just sit in. If anybody wants to participate, we can participate, and if not, and those students, those Barcelona Bible Institute students, when they see Americans from Christian schools coming and then interacting. That meant a lot, you know, that day that we were there. And then we'll play, and then we'll tour Barcelona and come back to the camp, and you know, we won't play. We'll take that day off. And then Thursday is a sightseeing day when we'll go to Besalú, I guess, is Thursday.
I think it's a work project day.
Work project day,
Thursday.
okay. And then we'll play another game Thursday night. And then Friday is Besalú, which is a medieval walled city. Everybody loves it. But it's just, you know, it dates back to the 10th century or something. It's walled. You go over a big moat and everything. And
To a Spanish restaurant.
yeah, we go to a Spanish restaurant, and then we'll play another game Friday night. And then Saturday morning, take you to the airport and you fly home. So that is basically the missions trip, and it's a lot of, you know, it's a fun time. I mean, it's a great time, but we will keep in mind, and we will talk to the players about how you know, what things to talk about after the games and things like that, and but it is, we're not going to get kids to come to summer camp unless we have an effective way to advertise our summer camps, and we found this is the best way. I mean, I've gone to the clubs and talked to the coaches. You know, they didn't really know me, so the word never got to the players. We've advertised many different ways, but the Spanish culture is different than the American culture, and they're just very slow in things as far as, you know, Americans, they see something, yeah, that's great, I'm going. Well, you know, the Spanish people are a little bit, but when they see Americans come and they're playing these goodwill games and they're interacting after, I mean, there were some times after a game we spent 2 hours talking, eating food, pika, and you know, and just, it was a great time, and that's how the campers, or that's how the players came to the camp and heard the gospel, and kids got saved. And so Cindy and I will be traveling. We'll be talking to coaches about coming. Obviously, in the summer, we need coaches and many players. But when I talked to Jess, it was, you know, their time seemed like it could be in the spring, in their spring break. So that's just some more pictures of. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to do. And we would love to have Greater Atlanta Christian come and come over and help us, because you know, the Spanish, it's hard to hear the gospel. The leader of Christian Camping International told me one time that there's about 20 Christian camps in Spain, okay? Larcada is probably the main one. 80% of all salvation decisions happen in those 20 Christian camping ministries. That's because it's developing relationships. Our founder of the camp used to be a church planner, but had such a hard time getting the gospel to people, because, you know, it takes years sometimes to develop relationships. But man, you get an American volleyball team coming over, oh my goodness, you know, in that summer camp time, that's a fast track to develop relationships. And there's the Americans, and in the summer, the Americans and the Spanish kids, when on Saturday morning when they leave, they're crying, they're hugging and crying. They're because they develop that you know what summer camp's like. You know, summer camp's a great thing. And when you cross culturally mix it, it's just even that much better. But we won't get Spanish kids unless we can advertise. So that's the gist of what we're doing,
And we have a short video. I don't know if you feel like you have time to watch that. Just mostly summer camp, but it gives them an idea.
It shows you, you know, some things.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
Anybody have any questions so far?
It sounds awesome. I'm sorry. I just
Okay.
That's what I do, but thank
Okay.
you.
Did you
Okay.
get a brochure?
Yeah, get a. Okay, thank you.
When is spring break? What is the date? What's the date for the?
We have 3 basketball teams and 2 volleyball teams coming, and it's all different. I'm not sure what their spring break is.
So when they come, will it be other schools there, or just
No,
be regular?
that week is
Just for
we
Greater
will take you. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, one school is going to bring their boys basketball team and girls basketball team together.
Okay.
You know, and we'll take them all around each night and play games. But it's really worked out good. I mean, the kids have had a great time. And this is such a great school. I'd love to, you know, develop a relationship with people here, and I know you're so missions minded, and you're always doing it.
My name is Mark Foster, and I am from Largo, Florida. Just working this atmosphere is just an awesome experience. It's a variety of things that we do, from cleaning bathrooms to cleaning up the kitchen, cleaning the dining hall, setting up the dining hall. You grow spiritually yourself, hearing God's word. You get woken up every morning with Christian music. I mean, there's no other place that I know of that lasts music at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning to wake you up, and it's awesome experience.
What I love about Marcada is that we build relationships first, get to know these kids by the end of the week, we're sharing the gospel with them.
It's awesome being able to rub shoulders with Christians from Spain and to sit down and talk with them and find out how they came to know Christ. And a lot of them that work here were saved here. If you ever get the chance, do it. It's worth every single penny that you will invest into this and into your trip, and you will have lifetime memories for sure.
And we'll do some of those activities that first day on Monday. Not the water slide. It's because it's March, you know. It's gonna be a little cool. That's just a quick video on the summer volleyball camp. So, okay.
What is the weather like there in March?
March, it could be in the 80s or it could be in the 50s. You know, it's a lot like being in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
You know, summers are hot, but March is usually pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
And we feel pretty comfortable taking them to the beach, so we usually take them down to the Mediterranean on Friday.
Yeah.
And we try to schedule a game that would be close to the beach, you know,
Okay.
so they can take us down there.
Just to give you a little